Welcome, one and all, to Tastefully Nerd Sports,
the show where we talk about the sporty side of nerds
and the nerdy side of sports. They call me Green,
and they call me Gonzo,
and we call this episode
The Playoff Push.
Speaking of playoff push, our teams aren't doing it. And that's it for the local flavor today. Let's get right into the nerding. Gonzo, what are you nerding out about?
Okay, so I watched this new movie. It's an Italian film called The Man Without Gravity. It's on Netflix if anybody hasn't. It kind of
has Netflix, you
yes.
know, that obscure program Netflix.
You know, after this whole Disney Plus thing, you know, people might be going, you know, more to Disney Plus, but you know, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, it caught me and a couple of friends off guard because we're scrolling through, and you know, the little preview clip is just, you know, a woman, you know, in labor giving birth, and she's screaming, ah! Finally, you know, gets it through. And then from under the veil, you just see a baby, umbilical cord still attached, and it just floats. Floats up like a balloon. So of course me and my friends are just like, okay, this seems interesting enough, let's watch it. And it was intriguing. I don't know, it's kind of like a life film about him. So the mom and the grandma, whenever they have the baby, decide, you know, we're gonna kind of hide it away. Which, you know,
secret shame.
Yeah, you know, just because they don't want to make, you know, their kid a spectacle. And, you know, they're living in a small village in Italy, and it's probably not going to go over well with, you know, a bunch of villagers. Mm-hmm. So they raise him in secret. Everyone knows about the kid, but he never comes out. And, you know, at some point, things happen, and he, you know, comes out, and, you know, he becomes the man without gravity. And it's just kind of interesting, and I don't really want to say much more about it because the intrigue is, you know, you don't really know what's coming or how this movie is going to kind of take its turns.
So is the drama of the piece, how does this guy react to being a shut-in now entering the world, or is the drama of the piece primarily driven by, like, how do you deal with not flying away, am I right?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
A little bit of both. Because he was a shut-in, didn't really have any experience with the world. Then all of a sudden comes out, and everything's so new to him. But then he also has to deal with, you know, not floating away. If something happens, he could just float away and just be gone. And, you know.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So it keeps you kind of guessing, and keeps you, you know, involved in it the whole time. And so, I thought it was really cool.
It's kind of like a fictional biopic, I guess?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned it was an Italian movie.
Yes.
Subtitled, I take it?
We watched it on a dub.
Okay.
Which it was kind of interesting. We watched it on dub, but we still had the subtitles up, and the dub and the subtitles did not match.
They don't always line up.
They don't match, and it was so funny
I was
to
watching
watch.
Netflix has I guess it's a slightly controversial new dub of Aeon Genesis Evangelion.
I've heard about that, yes.
Neon Genesis, not Aeon. Yeah. Which I had never seen before. My wife is a big fan. We watched the first episode. Mm-hmm. She's like, this dub is different. Mm-hmm. I don't like it as much. And so we're like, all right, well, we'll turn the subtitles on. But the subtitles were on, but they were still speaking the dubbed English dialogue, and they did not match. And we're like, no, this is too distracting. We got to turn the subs off. This is not how it works. But more pertinently, because it's an Italian film, I think it sounds like they're allowed to. They're obviously not in the Hollywood structure. It's not Hollywood. No. So it sounds like they're able to do something a little different with this movie. Because I feel like when you told me about it, I was like, okay, if this is a Hollywood film, he either becomes a superhero who can fly and save people, or it becomes like a slapstick comedy about that dude who bounces off the roof all the time, and they get Kevin James to play him because fat guys bounce in Hollywood's mind.
Yeah.
And they just be like, boing, boing, boing.
And that's how we thought about it until we realized that it was an Italian film. It was dubbed and everything. And we were just like, okay, now I don't really have like a template for where this is going to go. And that's why I kept us intrigued, because there are so many times when you think the movie is just going to kind of end, and it just keeps on going.
It's like, no, man, I got more story to tell, buddy.
And also, there's just pay attention in the movie because there's so many like just kind of like little side notes that you're just like, wait, so why is this here? Is it gonna come back later in the film or something?
Does it do successful callbacks?
Not really.
Okay.
And that's why it's so funny, because you're like, what actual significance to the movie did this have?
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. All right, man. Well, that sounds interesting. I'll definitely have to check it out. I don't get to watch as much movies as I like to, but me and the wife, we like to watch kind of oddball stuff sometimes.
Yeah. It's definitely an oddball film.
Nice.
Alrighty, so what are you nerding out about this week, Green?
Well, I've been playing a lot of hobby games,
Okay.
especially card games. I've been thinking a lot about role-playing games. I haven't, unfortunately, got to play any, but I have been working on like some background details for like a new mini campaign in the future. So I was doing, I was immersed in the card games. I've been immersed in role-playing games. So I've kind of been nerding out about like two supplementary products, I guess you could say, to that.
Okay.
I was playing on my phone Warhammer 40,000 Combat Cards. Excuse me, which is a free-to-play mobile card game, remake of a card game from the 80s that Games Workshop had made, but also a spin-off of their current Warhammer 40,000 tabletop wargame franchise, which also has a lot of video games and other extended universe stuff that people dig. I was actually... it's a fun little game. It's a very simplified, sort of lane-based... People who play mobile games about lane-based games are a lane-based card game, where you get cards that represent models from the game, the tabletop game. They have stats, and you pick a squad, and they fight against each other. Last one standing wins, etc.
Okay.
But it has that free-to-play timer bullcrap, where you have to, like, I beat a quest, or I defeated an enemy warlord or whatever, I get, a little treasure chest. But you have to start the timer countdown.
Okay.
And then once the timer countdown is done, you can unlock it. And then once one is done counting down, you can count the other down. And so you can't have multiple chests being worked on at once.
Yeah.
You can only get a reward. And when that at a time, yeah. So the timer's between 3 hours, 8 hours, and 12 hours. So there's a lot of downtime because you don't want to necessarily play, even though you're having fun, you don't want to play the game when all of your chest slots are full and you're on a countdown because you're not getting anything for it. And at the same time, it encourages you to play frequently over the course of the day because it's like, your timer is now up, open your chest, get your prizes, start another countdown timer. And then, so I was kind of scheduling it that I would play about 2 times a day, primarily in the morning and in the evening, and refresh all my chests at once. They also have the kill chest, which is a treasure chest that you get for getting kills in the game. But that's also on a timer. And that one's on like a 5 or 6 hour timer, so it doesn't actually neatly slot in with the others. So it's like, we'll come back and I'll get my kills to get this one, and then I try to time it so that I'll get all my kills at the same time. I'm also getting wins to fill in my treasure chests, and then there's the campaigns, which have additional features. So you're like, but you can only do so many campaign matches.
So it forces you to spend a lot of time.
Yeah, it forces you to do a lot of waiting. And you could spend real money currency to unlock some of the timers, some of the features, but not others.
Yeah.
And I get why these mobile games do that. They do that to get you coming back.
Yeah.
But
Good strategy.
And I like the basic gameplay, but I realized I was just playing it too much. But at the same time, not enough. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wasn't playing it as much as I would have liked, but I was playing it in weird time zones, time limitations than I was comfortable with. And so I played it for like 2 weeks, and then I was like, you know what, I'm done. Uninstall. I bought the starter pack. I don't mind giving them some money because like $5 or whatever the starter pack was. I was playing a game for 2 weeks. $5 is a reasonable cost. But I would have rather they just been like, I know they're doing this to kind of fish out what's called the whales, which are the people who spend way more money than they should on a product. But I hate that. It's so manipulative. And this is at least a free-to-play game. It's not a premium priced product. Like you'll see console games will now have that kind of premium, freemium stuff in it. So on the one hand, at least they weren't charging a upfront fee, but I would much rather it be like, hey, here's the game, kind of the shareware model from back in the day. And if you like it, you can unlock the full version for $20, $30.
Yeah.
I'd do that. I'd spend $30 on a phone game if it was one I was really enjoying.
Yeah.
And I could unlock all the features. Yeah, that's, time's up for that topic, I guess. So
it's like that's the buzzer.
Yeah. One other quick little thing. I had been filling the time, I guess, since I installed that. I've been watching on YouTube RPGHorrorstories, which is a subreddit on Reddit called r/RPGHorrorstories. And it's not like, hey, this is an RPG game you're playing that has a horror theme, or like, oh, there's all these monsters you gotta make.
It's just like crazy stories,
Yeah, it's like this is a player who is ruining our campaign with his stupid shenanigans. Or here's a lot of them have to do with two topics. Like there's either like a girl in the gaming group that everyone's kind of like fighting for her affection, and or the dungeon master or game master is showering her with extra attention and like and good gear in the game and whatever, trying to win her affection.
Yeah.
Or there's like a weeb anime fan who wants to derail the campaign in order to focus on their chosen one, edgelord samurai homebrew character.
Yeah.
There's so much of that crap.
Oh man, I need to look up those. Those sound so interesting.
They're very fun. So that's what I've been nerding out about tonight. A game that I liked, but ultimately ended up getting rid of, and people ruining games that I like.
Yeah.
Perfect. Alright, one and all, we're going to be doing a bit of a short episode today, so we're going to skip straight into fantasy football. Last week we left off on a cliffhanger. Green versus Gonzo. The winner gets to propel their playoff push. The loser gets to plumb into pits of probably not making the playoffs.
That's alliteration.
Thanks. I was struggling to pull it off there. So, thanks to the miracle that is bye weeks,
yes,
I got to pull off the win. And
yeah, you did pull off the win. Very closely though, for a little while it was looking to be a pretty close game. So I had 7 players?
Yeah, you had 2 on bye weeks.
7 players total on bye week, including both of my quarterbacks. So I had to start a quarterback and a wide receiver on bye, because in the long run, right now I'm in the playoffs, and I could take this week as an L and not lose any players and not have to shift anything around. So most of my people are still pretty healthy. They're still number 1 receivers and running backs, so I didn't want to do too much changing. So I was hoping for the win, see if I could pull it off with 2 people on the bye, but nope.
It was neck and neck before the Sunday night game, which was Dallas versus Vikings. I had David Johnson, who accomplished a fumble and was benched. And so I got a fat goose egg out of that. Thankfully, he had enough yards so I didn't get a negative score.
Yeah.
So I functionally had a player on bye week 2. So many of my other players had underperformed, which we'll get to in a sec with the start sit swap wrap up. Mark Ingram underperformed. David Montgomery underperformed. My quarterback actually was Kyler Murray. He actually had a great game.
Yeah, Kyler Murray.
My defense for the Saints underperformed,
which is surprising.
Fortunately, despite losing the game, which I'm fine with, the Dallas skill position players came through for me. I was starting Jason Witten in place of Zach Ertz, and I was starting Amari Cooper in place of I always start Amari Cooper. So they had very good games, especially Amari Cooper, and pulling away with a comfortable 20-odd point victory. But before that game, oh boy, it was close. And he had the Vikings defense. So
yeah. Yeah, Vikings defense, and a 20-point game from Mark Andrews.
Yeah, Mark Andrews killed it. So if the Vikings defense had shut down one of or both of Cooper and Witten, then I would have lost to someone who started 2 bye-week players.
Yep.
And that would be an embarrassment. But as it is, I'm going on. But I had a very bad start sit swap for myself this week. So quick explanation on start sit and swap, which we do every week. I recommend 3 players. One that is a must start. If they get 15 or more ESPN PPR fantasy points, I get 1 start sit swap point. Then I recommend a player to sit, someone I think will not live up to expectations. If they do not get 10 PPR points, I get a point for that. Finally, I recommend a player to swap in, who has to be eligible to swap in for the sitting player. And if they get 10 or more points, I get a point for that. So last week, I recommended you start Mark Ingram, normally a solid bet, to sit Tariq Cohen, who was coming off a bad game, and I think he was going to come off another one because David Montgomery had clearly taken over that backfield, and to swap in Zach Pascal, because I'll be honest, this was a hunch. He's had a good game, a bad game, a good game, a bad game, a good game, and I was like, maybe he will break out and have 2 good games. He did not. He only got 7 odd points. Tariq Cohen got 13, almost 14 points, thus better than 10. Mark Ingram, despite the fact that the Ravens scored I think approximately 1 billion points on the Bengals, only got 9 fantasy points because they pretty much had their way through the air. They didn't even need to run out the clock.
Had their way through the air, and Lamar Jackson just running.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson was the one running out the clock.
Yep.
So I got a big fat 0 for start sit swap last week. What did you get for week 9?
It is okay. I didn't do much better, but I did slightly better. My start was Devin Singletary. I was thinking he was gonna have a good game, and he's been pretty consistent with his good games. But no, he got 8 points, so there's my -1. And then Golden Tate, I didn't really trust the Giants. Didn't trust what Daniel Jones could do, even though Golden Tate is a great receiver. So I said sit him. Not a good idea. He got 23.5 points, so there goes my point.
He maybe would have won that game.
Yep. There goes that point for there. And then swap Mark Andrews for that for Golden Tate, which is usually a great bet, and that's where I got my point. Mark Andrews.
Actually, not a bad bet still. The Mark Andrews did actually outscore Golden Tate.
Yes. And that's why I got my 1 point out of the week, out of 3.
Yeah,
Mark Andrews having a great game.
We are tied up and heading into week 10 of the fantasy football season. We are tied up at 3 and 3 apiece for start, sit, swap.
Yep.
So, who will take the edge? We'll get back to you in 1 sec. All right. Well, week 10. Start, sit, swap. Gonzo, who you got for me?
This week, I'm going to start Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette has been fantastic throughout this whole year.
He's been the AFC's leading rusher for most of the season.
Yeah, and he just came off a bye week. I expect great things, so Leonard Fournette, definitely. And you can kind of tell what game I'm looking forward to this week because of, my sit and swap. As I'm going to sit Odell Beckham Jr. Now, I'm a little bit biased when it comes to Odell Beckham Jr. I feel like he does not live up to the potential that he could.
Absolutely not.
So I'm going to say sit him.
There. He had an amazing rookie and sophomore years, and he's been pedestrian ever since.
Exactly. People still want to say he's great. He makes 1 great catch every 3 games. That's about it. So I'm going to say sit Odell Beckham Jr. and I'm going to swap out for him Juju Smith-Schuster.
Okay.
Because Juju's been having a great year. It's been a real up-and-coming number 1 for Pittsburgh after Antonio Brown leaving.
I'm going to say this episode will likely come out on Friday, as most of our episodes do. So you're recommending some Thursday night players. So the audience is going to know before we do whether this start sit swap looks foolish. But I feel you, man. I feel you. Because Smith-Schuster's kind of been held in check a lot of this season, to be honest, because he's been able to be double teamed.
Yeah.
But that Browns defense,
not great.
Their front four is solid. The rest of that is just not very good. They've been getting gashed through the air. Meanwhile, the Steelers' defense for the last 4 games have been playing fantastic.
Yeah.
I think
to add a little bit more of it, it's a in-division game. It's a rivalry game.
Division game. It's a primetime game.
Yep. Yeah. They're definitely going to be looking to make some numbers with this game.
That's the game you're looking forward to this week?
That it is. Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. I want to see it. I have been saying that this is one of the games I was looking forward to since the beginning of the season.
Wait, when people thought Cleveland was going to be good?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh was also going to be good?
Yeah.
And now Cleveland is at best mediocre, and Pittsburgh was mediocre, although it's trending towards good now.
It's coming up, so I want to see what happens, and yeah.
Well, it'll be on in the workplace, so you'll at least be able to listen to it.
Yes, it will.
So for myself, I'm going to say start Jimmy G. Garoppolo.
All right.
Because he's going to call Aaron Andrew baby again, and he's playing my Arizona Cardinals. And although that was a close game, it was definitely a shootout because that was Jimmy G's best game of his career.
Yes.
Now, I think we'll make some adjustments. We won't be as bad this time, but this is going to be in Santa Clara, which is the new home of the San Francisco 49ers. And I think they're going to have a pretty good time moving the ball against us.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say sit Alshon Jeffrey.
Smart choice.
The Eagles are coming off a bye week. He's been banged up all year, so he can be healthy again. But they're playing against the Patriots. The Patriots have a very good secondary.
Yep.
Stephon Gilmore is going to shadow.
Patriots just came off of bye week as
well. They also did, yeah. Gilmore is going to shadow and shut down Jeffrey. Now, I still like the Eagles' chances in this game. I think with the rushing game being reinvigorated behind Jordan Howard, Wentz has been playing much better the last several games than he did at the start of the season. They have that dual threat in Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, who are excellent tight ends. So I think this will be a good competitive game. I think Alshon Jeffrey's going to be a distraction more so than he is going to be a source of damage. Swap in your flex spot, because honestly, Jeffrey's been more of a flex this year.
Yep.
Swap in my boy, David Johnson.
All right, you're going to stick to it.
I started this fantasy segment telling about what a goose egg he got. He got benched for that fumble, partly because the Buccaneers, who have a terrible passing defense and give up a ton of points, have actually been stout against the run all year. Kenyon Drake couldn't get much going. I think Gus Edwards was very good. I don't even know. We had 3 running backs, but the other guys are either hurt. I don't even know who the other guy was. So we couldn't really get much going on the ground, period.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray had the best run of the game on a quarterback scramble. I think another week to get healthy. I think he gets it done. I think he gets first crack at the ball. I think they're going to give him the chance to live up to his contract. To be like, listen, Chase Edmonds has been excellent, even though he's hurt and he's not going to be used a lot this game. We trade for Kenyon Drake, and he's been very good. Well, he's in 2 games. He was really good in 1 game, and he wasn't awful in the other. There's a lot of competition now in that running back room.
Yeah.
There's a chance that they could try to shop him or cut him in the offseason. This is going to be like, listen, prove that you're worth them big bucks.
Yep. And against Nick Bosa.
Yeah, and San Francisco have a great defense.
Yeah.
They have a great defense. But you know what? We were able to hang 24 points on them last time and a buttload of yards.
Yep.
And a buttload of yards rushing.
Yep.
Now, you risk having Kenyon Drake just take over this game like he did last time. But I think they get Johnson involved in the passing game more, and I think you see a lot of 2 running back sets. So I don't think he's a must-start. That's why I didn't have him as a must-start. I don't think he's going to crack 15.
Okay.
But I think between him and Kenyon, they both have solid 10-point games.
So, 13. Get you Just above.
And that is the game I am most looking forward to from a fantasy perspective. 2 of my players involved are in it.
Yep.
And also just, I like to support my team. I'm probably paying attention to that one anyway.
All right. Sounds good.
Anything else you'd like to add from a fantasy football perspective, sir?
No, I think I'm good on fantasy football.
All right. Well, we're nearing the end of our show. It's time for some post-game content. Last week we had asked when the closest full moon to Halloween would occur in retrospect to the dates given of October 31st, 1993 in the movie Hocus Pocus. So, shout out to our currently lone commenter, Samantha Suter, who correctly said that the next full moon to occur on Halloween will be October 31st, 2020. Other valid ones were in 1973 and I believe 1955. So, again, 1993 isn't one of those years that actually had a full moon. But 2020, baby, that's next year.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta watch out for any black flame candles, because stuff could get real. Alright, well, thanks again, Samantha Suter, for watching and for answering that question. We don't have a question of the day for you this week, but we do have some signing off to do. I've been Green. You can follow me at Tastefully Nerd on Twitter, and you can follow the show at Tastefully Nerd on Facebook.
And I've been Gonzo, and you can follow me on Twitter at They Call Me Malu, Maluu.
All right.
Game off.